These are the French. Parisians are peeved. Nearly 500,000 French protesting again today against pension changes that include raising their retirement age. President Nicolas Sarkozy insisting it's a necessary evil, and it's an evil our own politicians could face if Republicans take control of the House next month with their version of tough love. The question is whether they'll have the guts to do what the French, at least government, is doing, at the risk of a similar revolt. To retiring Congressman Shadegg on whether his colleagues are ready to walk the walk. I mean, that's going to be it, isn't it?
I think that is going to be it. They've made representations that we're going to control spending. They're clearly responding to the demand of the American people that we control spending, and then they've got to deliver. And I think they can do that. I think there are examples out there that show leading Republican politicians right now. Marco Rubio in Florida talking about raising the age for Social Security. Governor Christie talking about cutting spending. Both of them doing phenomenally well. If Republicans look at those models and say, look, we have to get tough, we have to take a look at excessive spending, and if necessary, do the steps that have to be done to rein in that spending. And that's what the American
you know, you guys talk a good game. When I ask for specifics, they don't give it. But, you know, God bless you, at least you offer me a few. But the tax cuts, the Bush tax cuts, we'll run out of time. If nothing is done before the end of this calendar year, January 1, they all go up. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, first of all, the most important point that has to be made is it's irresponsible for the economy to have let them stay in place. We had a year to extend them, to have this fight.
You did, gone, done. So now what?
Pelosi wouldn't do it. I quite frankly think it depends on the election. If Mrs. Pelosi remains in power, she'll try to do what the president wants, extend them for the so-called middle class. By the way, I didn't know there were any middle class.
When you say in power, by that she maintains a Democratic majority.
She maintains a Democratic majority, then she'll try to push through. She'll see that as a mandate.
What if she loses in a landslide? Republicans just don't take over. They just march.
In politics, blame is a big deal. What she'll want to do is say, well, I'm going to make the Republicans responsible for this. The lame duck will not even touch them, or will talk about it and do nothing. And then she'll punt it down the road and let the new Republican majority, quite frankly, repeal the tax increases that go into place on January 1. That'll cause some chaos in withholding forms and other problems, but then she'll say, well, it was those Republicans that extended the tax breaks to the wealthiest.
Bottom line, do you think that the chances are slipping away that there's going to be this 1 or 2 year interim deal to keep the tax cuts for everybody? I see that slipping away, and I think we're going to go revert back to the rich get socked, the others get a break, whatever.
I like to think not. I like to think that if there is compromise, if President Obama is willing, in fact, to compromise, if he sees this election as a rejection of his policies of late, that he will agree to at least a 2-year extension. He's had his own OMB director say that was the right thing to do temporarily. I don't think it's slipping away. I think it's maybe been cast.
Well, he hasn't said he'd veto such a thing. So you're right about that.
Saved himself a little room.
Right. You know him better than I ever will. Do you think he's going to pull a Bill Clinton, get pragmatic, move back into the middle, or is he so diehard on these views that he doesn't bend?
He doesn't bend. He's not Bill Clinton. He doesn't see the world the way Bill Clinton sees the world. I don't think, it was all famous about Bill Clinton empathizing, feeling people's pain. I think this guy is an ideologue who has a set of goals. He's surrounded by a bunch of people who have a set of goals, and by God, he's going to charge forward. Now, that's the great guess.
Regardless of what the election is.
I think regardless of
even if it means he's a certain one-termer.
I think he will believe it doesn't mean he's a certain one-termer any more than, Nancy Pelosi did outrageous things in demanding that her members vote contrary to what the American people wanted over the last 2 years at least, and said, look, I don't care. The consequences be darned.
Real quickly, let's say the Democrats come back into the House in a minority role. Would they have Nancy Pelosi be their leader?
No. No. I think, as a matter of fact, I would not be surprised if she left the Congress. I think that I think that their conference will be split pretty deeply. A lot of members will have had friends that lost. They'll be angry about that.
They'll be bitter
already.
What about Republicans? John Boehner?
John Boehner, I think, has it locked.
So you don't think there's a rebel in the ranks there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. You know. Congressman, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Well, crazy.